welcome to our key lecture. We have this special opportunity thanks to the Urban Forms Foundation. Ola, please say a few words about the presentation.
On behalf of Urban Forms Foundation, I would like to say that this event is possible thanks to funding of the City Hall of the program that let us invite Professor Remesar here to Łódź today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me say a few words about Professor Antoni Remesar is a professor at the University of Barcelona. He is director of Polish Research Center and coordinator of the master degree in urban design, art, city and society. And he is a member of the consolidated research group CREAT, Innovation, Creation and Urban Transformation at the University of Barcelona. And he has coordinated the doctoral program Public Space and Urban Regeneration of the University of Barcelona, of course, and has been Vice Dean of Research and Postgraduate. He supervised 32 PhD theses and then competitively founded research projects in public art, urban design, and urban regeneration. Our guest is also Javier Faro. He is technical engineer in industrial design, master's degree in urban design from the University of Barcelona, and researcher also of the consolidated group Creativity, Innovation, Urban Transformation, and researcher of the Polish Research Center at the University of Barcelona. Please, the floor is yours, and Urban Thinking.
Okay, thank you.
We need the microphone or?
No.
No? Okay.
No. You don't need.
Okay, perfect.
Do the microphones work?
Yes? Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending. Thank you very much to the organization and the colleagues of the University of Łódź for the invitation. For this Congress, we have prepared a presentation about our work in Polish and our collaboration with neighborhood groups when dealing with problems that affect them. That is why it has been titled an urban think tank. This presentation will comprise two parts. In the first one, I will make a brief introduction to the Polish Research Center and its activity. Afterwards, Dr. Remesar will explain how it works when the theory becomes practice. First, I am going to start with the most boring part, but we consider it is important to understand the trajectory of the center and its activity as a think tank. So I will begin with a series of data. The Research Center was created in 1999, and the field in which the center moves is urban studies, but from a highly interdisciplinary approach. And it has been pioneer incorporating creative strategies for citizenship participation in urban design and public art in Barcelona. Within the center take part 6 accredited research groups of the University of Barcelona in areas such as arts, restoration, urban sociology, social and environmental psychology, and others like economics, etc. In addition, the center participates in a wide international research network, collaborating with many European and Latin American universities. An example of this is the fruitful relationship with the University of Łódź, which hosts us today here. Okay. During these almost 25 years of activity, the center has counted on different partners. First, there are the neighborhood associations. We work with them daily to implement projects with a real impact on the urban context. We also have institutional partners, such as city councils and metropolitan consortiums, and we also count on technical specialists and external advisors, such as the architectural firm of Jordi Enric and the Design for All Foundation. Talking about transferring knowledge in the academic context, the center has its own journal on the waterfront, in which, by the way, we invite you to submit your works and research. The journal is lately very well positioned in terms of impact index. As for the teaching and training activities, colleagues took part in several programs. Until 2006, in the master's programs of urban design in Lisbon. Until 2017, the center coordinated a PhD program on public space and urban regeneration. And since 2007, it has been teaching the master's degree in urban design at the University of Barcelona. Urban intervention, research, and teaching are the three fundamental pillars to understanding the activity of the center and what we call the generative cycle of think tank. But before talking about this work process, I think it is necessary to clarify the reason for the choice of the title of this speech. The title is certainly provocative, especially considering that the concept tends to be identified with partisanism and sometimes even tends to equate think tanks with lobbies. In reality, we are talking about two different things. A lobby comes from a private initiative that, by activating its social and economical capital, seeks to influence political decisions to achieve concrete benefits for its organization. To this end, they develop studies, reports, and campaigns to safeguard their interest. The activity of a think tank reverses this scheme. Its activity is based on scientific evidence and research. The knowledge generated seeks to influence, justify, or support the promotion of policies that respond to specific objectives. Therefore, it is obvious that in the activity of a think tank there is an important political orientation, but the basis of the whole process is in the knowledge and not on the private interest. This is a relevant fact in the work developed by Polish Research Center. Obviously, we start from a clear underlying political vocation, the democratical deepening and the improvement of people's living conditions in the city, especially when these people live in degraded, segregated, and vulnerable environments. However, this orientation is not only political, but also based on years of research and action. Oh, sorry. So the orientation is not only political, but also based on years of research and action in neighborhoods, trying to understand the mechanisms, the benefits, the problems, and the limits of participation. On the other hand, unlike other think tanks that aim to directly influence institutional policy spheres, police activity is focused on providing tools and knowledge in the neighborhood sphere, so that the neighbors themselves can then deploy all their capacity and force the institutions to take them into account in the promotion of public policies. Finally, as has been said before, the activity of the Research Center has three basic pillars: research, teaching, and intervention. The interaction of three files of action produce what can be called the generative cycle of research, participation, action within the think tank. Working on a specific context gives the research a grounding in reality. I mean, it brings theories down to the real world. On the other hand, the students, for their part, work on these real projects articulating a sort of laboratory of ideas. The ideas generated in this laboratory enrich the intervention projects and illustrate possibilities to the neighbors. On the other hand, this type of work on real projects allows students to learn to work in interdisciplinary teams and allows them to generate academical and professional curricula. The research activity is noticed both by the ideas generated by the students and by the intervention process itself. We, as researchers and facilitators, try to develop the knowledge acquired to generate new academic production, but also to apply it in the file, which allows us to return to the area of intervention, starting the cycle again. Well, Having this said, I give the word to Dr. Remesar, who is going to continue with the talk and will illustrate everything with real success cases.
Well, thank you very much, Ken, to all. Then my part is more easy than the other part presented by Javier, because what we'll try to do is to illustrate what he explained it through several examples. Then here you have the scheme that the MA and PhD students can follow. That is, first of all, each year the center proposed to the students some kind of work related with the results of research. Second, the activity in the master takes place in a course that we call Project Management Workshop. Third, students have to integrate interdisciplinary groups, because students in our MA come from different disciplines too. And finally, at the end of the term, students receive an academic evaluation. That's normal. But what is important is that the students submit their projects to the research partners. Okay? Then some of the ideas we got from this activity can be introduced in the research action scheme. Okay? Then, on the other hand, we publish on the Waterfront Journal many of the projects the students developed this year. With that, they have a publication that is important. And the other thing is that we start to disseminate several ideas. And finally, some of these ideas can be integrated in the development of urban projects. Okay? Then the scheme is quite clear. We depart from ideas that come from partners, especially neighbors, and come too from students. A different thing are the program of uses. People related to architecture know quite well what I mean with this term. That is different from a project. It's a list of what I want, okay? That come too from the neighbors. The students do a work to transform these uses, this list of uses, through technical language. And finally, if the projects go onward, that not always all the projects go onward, the project pass to the other partners, the municipality, neighbors, in order to manage the project. Okay? This way we can develop a whole process of co-design, co-deliver, co-assess, co-commission, and co-management. Not in all the projects, but the idea is that. Then the examples. 2005 to 11. In a neighborhood near in Barcelona, Baró de Viver, we developed a project that comes from participatory process about this street. Okay? There is a participatory process where, for example, a group of young people in the neighborhood develop an idea that what they would like to be this street. Second, it is developed by the students, introducing technical language, okay? And finally, in this case, goes to a co-production between the city council and the research center, developing an executive project. And here is, okay? Second example, two in this same neighborhood, Baró de Viver. Our partners are the neighbors. It is funded through a research agreement between the city council, the neighbors, and us, and the center. Neighbors develop a preliminary project that is filtered through technical language by students, and then that passed to executive projects by a tender developed by BIMSA, that is Municipal Infrastructures of Barcelona company, that published a tender, and then a group that is, its name is Scope Architecture, wins this tender. Then that are ideas from the participatory project, incluso a model, what they would like. Then it's important to remark that there are two things here. One is the public space and a square. The second is a building that will be for community center. Okay? Then happens something similar what I explained before. In the masters, we developed several ideas. There were 4 groups working in this project, but finally a tender by BIMSA, and again Scope Architecture wins this tender for the square, okay? Maintaining some of the ideas that come from here and are passing through to the end. That is the square. But there was the building. We don't work with buildings. We work with public space. But a kind of program for the uses of the building was set up by the neighbors in the participatory project. Then again, BIMSA, and then Territorio 24 Arquitectura y Urbanismo wins this tender, and that is the building. It's a very interesting building, sustainable, okay? Third, in the same neighborhood, the neighborhood is cited here, but in 1983, one of the metro lines of Barcelona arrives there. But the station was in the middle of nothing. No, that's real. You can see, in the middle of nothing, okay? That changed a lot with Olympic works because they built a very big road junction here, but the metro station was in the middle of nothing, okay? Then from the participatory project, there was a study of the possible uses that were urban gardens, and a skate park, and the arrangement of the whole area of the metro exit, okay? We developed the same with the students and so on, and right now we have a mini skate park, not a skate park, it's a mini, by Scope Architecture. Think of, that is very strange, 3 projects for the same architectural firm. No, seriously. And the Department of Gardens and Parks of the City Council developed the area of urban gardens. Okay, that are examples. 3. We can afford more of them, but what is clear that there are different phases that implies different subjects and actors, but with the aim to offer to the neighbors of this, in this case of Baró de Viver, solutions to some of their problems. They advance some of the possible solutions. On the MA or the PhD program, we develop that in technical language in order to create documents to be presented to the other partner, that is the city council. Then sometimes we develop the executive project, but sometimes that follows another trajectory, okay? Then some of the work we develop, you can find in Acta Universitatis Lotsensis in several numbers, and 2 on the waterfront in different numbers of issues of the magazine. Okay, and I think that's all. Thank you. ¿Ves? Hemos ido mucho más rápido de lo que te creía.
No, me dio la clavada, ¿no?
Thank you very much. We combined this lecture with workshops. So this is an introduction, in fact. Now, please, Jovita. We can start with her presentation. No, I've made a mistake. First, questions for Professor. Sorry. There was a time.
You introduce the questions, and then I have here the answers. Okay?
Yes.
Then I'm trying to find them.
Dobra. Okej, który mi znowu wziąć tylko? Będzie lepiej? Słabiej kamera?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we can make the discussion after your presentation, okay?
Okay.
So let's start with the presentation, then questions to Professor Remesar, then questions by Professor Remesar to Jovita, and the discussion. These workshops are open for the public, so you can ask questions also. Jovita. Let me introduce a few words. She is PhD student, University of Łódź, of course, Łódź Doctoral School of Humanities. She is philosopher with her MA completed at University of Łódź. Since 2016, she has been working in the office in Łódź, where she deals with issues related to the culture of the region. And she's trying to prepare a doctoral thesis in categories of uniqueness and curiosity and their role in regional social-cultural policy of the region of Łódź. Her presentation is Against Generalities, Reflection on City Values Expressed in Documents and Websites of Public Administration.
Okay. So, okay, thank you very much. So if I start with the poster, so I will show the poster maybe, and then we will get to the questions with and workshops with Professor Remesar.
I don't know where is the poster.
Okay, I will show it. It is in. Okay. And here it should be. Oh, there are many.
No, that is
Different
our.
things.
That is
Okay,
our.
it's here, so.
Will be that presentation? No.
No. Okay, so because we do not have that much time, so I will get to the poster and to its, yes, maybe turn it, yes, for the public. I think that
what
Professor,
I would like to explain is that
yes,
Jovita designed a poster about the topic.
yes,
Okay, but she sent to me some questions.
yes,
Okay, that not necessarily are in the poster.
yes, exactly.
Okay? Then I prepare a kind of presentation trying to answer their questions.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. Okay. So starting with the poster and my PhD research, as you can see, the poster is entitled "Against Generalities: Reflection on City Values Expressed in Documents and Websites of Public Administration Addresses Issues Related to Uniqueness and Peculiarity as Concepts." And this is a domain or the question that I am exploring as a part of my PhD research work. Uniqueness and peculiarity are concepts that not only can function as scientifically useful non-classical aesthetic categories, but also serve entities carrying out social, cultural policy tasks to describe and promote phenomena, events, and objects in the public space. And based on this research of documents, websites of public administration of the region of Łódź, it is noticeable the widespread use of these terms of public administration, and at the same time the low awareness of their semantics and the risks associated with their use. So according to local documents and websites, unique or peculiar could be, for example, as you see the architecture, mainly Romanesque buildings and structures or elements in our region, exhibitions, cultural heritage, technical monuments, the potential of the film, music, media, design industries, socio-economic potential of the place, educational and scientific potential of art universities, resource of the natural environment, the historical and natural resources of the city, landscape, area as a set of different values, and I would even say that even more than those things that I just mentioned. It can therefore be seen that the objects, phenomena, events described by the terms uniqueness and peculiarity are very diverse, as you see. Sometimes we are dealing with something which is tangible and material, and it's kind of physical object, and sometimes we abstract and general concepts. And I think that this is the most difficult when we are talking about this abstract and this general terms of uniqueness and peculiarity, like, for example, the potential or the cultural heritage or things like that. The documents, therefore, takes into account the traditions, the general culture and social concepts, as I said, and the phenomena. In the, for example, program for the care of monuments in the region of Łódź, the architecture of sacred buildings in the region, in our region, is considered as unique. I've even chosen the one of the example of this buildings of the church in our region as the example of something that might be considered as unique. In the Opoczno district development strategy, a natural landscape is peculiar, for example, so also something very general. Whatever the phenomena we are dealing with, generalizations are common in all these documents, websites of public administration. In my opinion, added to this, the encouraged lack of justification or criteria for the use of the concepts, the terms like uniqueness or peculiarity, we may see several problems which I will also mention in this presentation. It is worth, I think, that considering why these concepts are so often used in public discourse and why and what purposes they serve. It can be assumed that since they are in strategic documents, in something that play promoting function, and is using in public discourse, it probably served to, for example, highlight the importance of place or locality of regional map and build a sense of identity and community. And in the context of social cultural policy, they are creating the image of the place, increase tourist attractiveness, and play a marketing role also. But this is a perspective of this public discourse, medial discourse, websites and documents. But from the perspective of scientific discourse, I would say that terms such as uniqueness and peculiarity function in a semantic family that runs the risk of blurring the meaning of the words belonging to this family. This is not about ambiguity, which is a common phenomenon. In the case of the words in question, it is extremely important that their axiological character is blurred, that they cannot be said to be simply positively or negatively valorizing, in my opinion. It is possible to use them in both an affirmative and a descriptive sense. Furthermore, the axiological potential of the words that make up this family, a semantic family, can both add to be definitional element and reveal or disappear and change depending on the context of use. Within the theoretical aesthetic discourse, these terms can be defined differently. For example, in even polarized way, but they can also be defined similarly and yet function in a contrasting way to each other. In the center of this poster, I put some like three examples of words that belong to this semantic family, which is, of course, uniqueness, unique, peculiarity, peculiar, and curiosity, to show you the possibility of this axiological potential of those words. Of course, it is something that needs to be rethinking if we think about the concrete, about the specific language or its nuances, the context of our of the way that we try to describe some objects. So it is the perspective of the public discourse or scientific discourse, and so on, is that pragmatic matter. Because we are dealing with public discourse in this poster, we can distinguish several key issues related to the use of these concepts in documents and websites. Use of the words uniqueness and peculiarity in the context of documents and websites of public administration are subordinated to the promotional image function. So in the context of this public administration, city values can be given and taken away. In such texts, authors update the meaning of words as dictionary units and usually make use of circulating meanings while rarely referring to specific aesthetic or philosophical term in addition. The excessive use of the concept of uniqueness and peculiarity and those words in the context of documents and public domain, in my opinion, makes them, or there is a risk that it makes them empty of meaning and loses their inherent potential for performative effectiveness. I think that because of these problems, because it is a public discourse, so we know that there is no a scientific field as a ground for using these terms. We may say that these problems, uniqueness and peculiarity, as expressions may or may not have an appreciative effect, especially when they overused or used inappropriately. Not in every pragmatic circumstances will uniqueness prove desirable. Its meaning can easily shift to curiosity if something divides from others because it does not meet the assumed standards. If we define something as unique, taking a small scale as a reference point, we may detract from that uniqueness by assigning the title of uniqueness or peculiarity to something common. We ridicule it through the principle of contrast, recognition of uniqueness and peculiarity, and the words that appear in the same semantic family. The uniqueness and peculiarity of objects occurring in large numbers or in series, we may undermine the intuitive and strongly held belief in their singularity. I have chosen a few examples. There is a picture of church in Tum, which was built in 12th century, and it's one of the oldest Romanesque buildings in the region of Łódź, and probably the oldest church in Łódź. And also there is a Corpus Christi celebration in Łowicz, which are considered in the context of the public discourse as unique in the region, although Corpus Christi is celebrated all over in Poland, but in Łowicz there are some special traditions. Also considered as unique in the region of Łódź is a romantic park in Arcadia near Nieborów, created by Princess Helena Radziwiłł at between 18th and 19th centuries. However, this is not the only park and place complex in the region or even in Poland which was built in this area or in these times. There is also Mianów area, which is a complex of very unique plants and animals that are some amphibians, birds that very rare in Poland, especially in central Poland. And also the manor villa in Poddębice, there is an overview of Poddębice, but in Poddębice there is a manor villa with a characteristic arcaded loggia that has a completely unusual and unique form. And of course, I have chosen something from Łódź, and it's Łódź Bajkowa, actually Łódź Fairland, we may translate it like that, which is a series of sculpture that show us the works from the Semaphore studio. And however, it is worth noting that it has a potential to be unique in a scale not only in the region but also in the whole country. The possibility reveals itself when we bear in mind the cultural context, traditions, film traditions in Łódź, achievements of Łódź animation, 2 Oscars winning short films, and so on. And there is one of these sculptures near the Cinematography Museum of Łódź, and in this institution there is a Kaiser panorama, which is probably one in Poland original Kaiser panorama created by August Fuhrmann. And there are only few examples of this object in the world, so we may also consider this as unique. Conclusions. In the context of documents and websites of public administration, it's worth to notice ambiguity of uniqueness and peculiarity. The importance of the discussion of these concepts increase all the more because there is no indicates that this ambiguity will result in a reduction of the use in everyday language, usurping opinions, formulate decisions, and even expertise in the field of cultural heritage. Undoubtedly, their use for persuasive purposes is worth subjecting to criticism, but not in order to demonstrate to users of a particular language a low awareness of semantic risks, but to better serve valuable cultural manifestations that could be considered as unique, singularity, peculiar, rare, and so on. And thank you for my part, and I think that now we can talk about these major problems from the perspective of Professor Antoni Remesar, and maybe I will ask a few questions.
Wait, because I ordered the question in another way.
Okay, we can change.
Okay,
we
then
can change this.
That's okay. Then, in the context of her doctoral dissertation, Jovita sent to me some questions that are related to some articles I wrote. Thank you for reading in. Yeah. Then I tried to answer, I don't know if all the questions, but many of them. Then, for me it's quite a strange PhD dissertation about uniqueness. But no. It takes sense because the kind of work we develop that is very different from the kind of work you are developing in a department of philosophy. I am my degree is in philosophy, but 60 years ago then. Does not matter, okay? Then it's strange, but you know that last time I was too interested in your topic, uniqueness, okay? Then what is clear is that uniqueness enters in a semantic field very large. That depends a lot on the kind of the natural languages. That means It's not the same in English, it's not the same in Polish, it's not the same in Italian, it's not the same in Portuguese, it's not the same in Spanish, it's not the same in Catalan, and so on. Okay? Then, from my point of view, the main aspects of this concept of uniqueness are extraordinarity, something that is extraordinary, something that is singular, something that have unicity, okay, something exclusive, and something original. At least in Catalan and Spanish and Portuguese, that will be more or less the semantic field, okay? Then it's not easy to manage that. For example, I review your poster, and then I was commenting with Javier that, hey, it's not the same to find the meaning of the words in the dictionary that to find, for example, in Spanish, to find the meaning of the words in the dictionary of uses of Spanish. Okay?
Yes.
Then it's not easy to manage that. Then, going to your questions and trying to answer what is unique, the statue, the monument to the Liberty in New York is unique. Yes? Wait. It's unique, but because it is extraordinary, maybe it is original, and it's true in the sense of the construction. It's not exclusive, we will see. It's not unique. There are hundreds of statues of liberty all around the world, and it's not singular. Why? Because that is a work by Bartholdi, that was a French sculptor, very linked to the development of the urban reforms in France, and with the development of the industry of cast iron. Okay, that is very important to know. Okay, it's not unique because Bartholdi worked with Lesseps in the construction of the Suez Channel. And in this moment, he proposed to the Sultan of El Cairo, see, this work. That is, I say, the Orient illuminating the world, okay? That gives form to the statue of the liberty illuminating the world, okay? Then if we enter in the production of the object, we have to say that, okay, the liberty is extraordinary, but it's not unique. More, it's extraordinary because that. And that is not the work by Bartholdi, it's the work by Viollet-le-Duc, Eiffel. Without this structure, this monumental statue could not exist. Then it's inside what is unique. It's not the form. And it's not unique because you can buy right now. You can buy this size, this size, this size, this size, this size, not the final size. That is exclusive. Okay? Well, that were some of my reflections about some of your questions about what is that, what can we call unique to something. And it's the same, for example, with The Thinker by Rodin. This image is not in Paris. This image is in Buenos Aires. And in the map, you can see the different countries where you can find different copies, or how they say, multiple originals of The Thinker. Then it's difficult. Where is the unique or the statue that has the category of uniqueness of this series of the Thinker? It's difficult to say, because Rodin produced in this way. They knew perfectly that he could sell 10, 12, 15 statues with small changes, with small scales. And then unique is the model, the plaster model, or unique are the bronze statues. It's just to think of, okay? Then, can uniques be a category given administratively? Yes. And since Middle Ages, we have unique elements given by an administrative act, a royal, municipal, and so on. But and for example, in the construction of the city, in part in your work, you work too with urban elements, aspects of the urban landscape as alignments, heights, even the facade treatment of the street are regulated since Middle Ages by administrative rules that give this kind of possibility to uniqueness. Then, should values around public space be given by administrative decision or be created spontaneously from below by inhabitants? Both. Till maybe 20 or 30 years ago was top down. Since the 80s, every time it's more normal to find work, to find projects, operations, etc., and down top, okay? And then, one interesting thing is about symbolism. But because you are talking about that symbolism. Then several years ago, one of my colleagues, a member too of the research center, Enrique Paul, set up a distinction that is very interesting. Respect, for example, to monuments. That is, are monuments that can have symbolism a priori, a monument to Cristobal Colon. It has its symbolism is an a priori, okay? And are monuments that get the symbolism a posteriori. That means through use or against the monument, there are different possibilities. And I think that that can be important to manage in your doctoral thesis, because it's not the same. Mm-hmm. But what is true is that the values can come from administrative decisions. For example, all the monuments in the 19th, earliest 20th centuries is this kind. Is the city or is it the state or that says we go to build a monument to anyone. In this period can come from the people. City Council, we would like to build a monument to anyone. through, I don't know what is the name, through what in Spanish we call suscripción pública. It is a kind of tender through journals, usually, and where people can put money in order to buy, to build this monument. And then they receive the okay from the administration. And in the last years, it is possible to build some kind of monuments. I refer to monuments to anything that has no use, but it has function in the public space. A mural can be a monument too. I don't use monument in the sense of commemorating something, okay? Then that can come from people that, without permission, develop this artistic intervention, okay? And later on, the city council has a kind of process of symbolism a priori, accepting what people did, okay? I will pass that to you, okay? Then Enrique Paul stated too some of the reactions to the a priori monuments. Some of them, like these monuments can be assaulted or actively rejected, okay? The more normal is people estrange the monument. Sometimes we think that when a monument is in the street, everybody is assuming that there is a monument. Maybe they don't see it. That is quite normal. Except if you remove it. Then they realize, hey, God was here, okay? Then another possibility of this symbolism a priori is that because the monument has some values of modernity, dynamism, status, wealth, etc., several, they say, okay, here it is, okay? Then symbolism a posteriori is very important because it relates to one of the things that is a trendy kind of work from academics, that is that of remembrance spaces, or memory spaces, okay? And then, important in your work, is not the same a commemorative monument than that, for example, a contemporary work that often are labeled as untitled. And that is, from my point of view, is a mistake, because people in the street to try to understand what is in front of my eyes need some kind of guide, of a reference, and the title can be one of these references. But if you have an untitled thing in front of you, maybe you say, but it's not important, or you say, out, okay? You see? And then, what can be done to preserve the values of the public space that are being taken away from residents by administrative decisions? For example, this remembrance mural we developed in Baró de Viver, working with neighbors, creating a narrative or their history, collecting images from people and using them to create this mural. But people can too write books, can write articles, can write in a website. For example, in Barcelona, it's quite normal that every district has a kind of popular center of studies of the area. Then they develop that, exhibitions relating to that disappeared before, etc. And then some questions about Piotrowska Street, okay? Eh? See, that is a Roman street. See, the question was that in one of my articles I wrote that Piotrowska Street is unique platform. Okay, I could say single platform, but I wrote unique, and then she asked me, what does unique platform mean? Okay, means that since Roman times, the street was organized in sidewalk, roadway, sidewalk. Well, in the Middle Ages, sidewalks disappear, and then there is a single platform if the street is paved, okay? Like, for example, here in Perugia, see? Or in Naples, see? Okay. I didn't know that somebody from Naples will be here. Yeah. Okay. Then in mid-19th century, end of the century, because of the streets are more plenty of cars and later on of cars, okay? The classical structure of the street reappears, okay? With sidewalks, imagine this sidewalk, okay? And the center, okay, of the street. But since the end of the 20th century, unique platforms appear again. Why? Because cities are interested in to take away cars from the center of the city to reduce pollution, etc. One way to do that is not to segregate the space of the street between the cars and the pedestrians. Then Piotrowska, at least one part of Piotrowska till the tramways station, is a street designed through unique or single platform. That means that there is not the classic differentiation, maybe is a differentiation through the materials. Okay? Mm-hmm. I don't know if I answered to your question.
Yes, thank you very much, yes.
Hostia. No, espera. How to preserve is a strong community personality? Could uniqueness be helpful to do it? You will not like what I will say right now. Piotrowska is not, as a urban design project, is not different from thousands of urban design projects you can find everywhere in the world. Even with the kind of material they use to build the street, okay? For example, that's Barcelona, and this street is not exactly Piotrowska, but it's very similar. Then another problem of uniqueness that is relative to time and to space. Okay. Then in the case of Piotrowska, we can add that is one of the gentrified areas of the city. And that means many things. I will not enter to that. But you have to consider Piotrowska maybe as a urban regeneration flagship here in Łódź, maybe is unique. In the context, in an European context, is not unique. It's the way that most of municipalities use to rebuild the city center. That is trying to take off from the center most of the cars, develop a urban design for pedestrians with some kind of nostalgia in some of the elements you maintain in the space, with wood materials, granite, for example, like here in Piotrowska, and using it as a flagship for the city. Piotrowska is the longest commercial street in Europe? I ask. Yes?
I don't think so that in Europe. It isn't.
In Poland, yes.
In Poland, it's probably, but in Poland we have very similar street in Kielce, for example. It's my region. And the street is shorter, but functions similar as Piotrkowska and looks a bit similar. So, of course, it is probably the longest street, but not the longest street even in Łódź, because there is probably Północna street.
No,
so
I say commercial.
Commercial, yes. So probably as commercial it is, but I think that there are similar streets, as I said in Kielce, for example, that looks similar. So maybe this feature that it's the longest, it's not enough to say that this is unique. Maybe we need a different criteria. Of course, I sometimes try to.
But if you come to Barcelona and you go to the Sants district, you will find the longest commercial street in Europe.
Yes, yes.
And if you go to another place,
yes,
you will find the longest.
Yes,
okay.
I think that this is a problem because
no, it's not a problem. That is a reality.
That is a reality, but it's also a problem from my perspective.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, I was in Łódź, and in Łódź there is, in some websites we may find the information that there is one triangular square in Poland and one of the three in Europe. Some people from our university said that it's not true, it is not unique, and actually we may find so many different triangular places like that, Market Square. And I came to Łódź to see this place and to think about this place as unique, and it was quite difficult because there was some kind of like the merry-go-rounds, and in the season of holiday they probably use this place as something like a very entertaining place. And it was quite even quite difficult to see this triangular, but whatever, even it is one of its kind because it's triangular, and many people said that it is. It's probably not, but nothing is there, and I think that uniqueness needs something else, something.
It's a marketing tool.
Yes, it's something like that, like the promoting role. It is, but what for inhabitants? They only could buy a hot dog, for example. So yes, that's I think that it's similar example to Piotrkowska Street.
Okay. I think that's all.
Yes.
Some other question I forgot.
Some other questions. First, I would like to thank you for the presentation.
No, it was a
Professor
pleasure.
Remesar,
With
and for especially for the symbolism a priori and a posteriori. I think that it was very interesting idea. And I could say that I totally agree with the Statue of Liberty as something that is extraordinary or characteristic, we may say, to New York. But because of this object is multiple, not only as a statue, but also some souvenirs and something like that, it cannot be called unique. Even we may feel sometimes.
That depends on the position you analyze that.
Yes, 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 of course. The methodology of analyzing.
From my position,
yes.
that I am interested in these bibelots of cast iron and bronze and what happens in the city and so on, I cannot consider unique the Liberty in New York.
Yes.
As tourists in New York, yeah, I say, hey, what an extraordinary work here.
So maybe that shows that uniqueness, it's kind of performative category, very much, because it appears and disappears.
Yeah, exactly.
And not only by the administratively decisions, but also by our experiences.
Exactly, and our use of the space. Yes. The culture of public space we are getting on the time that changes our perspective on these things.
Yes,
and
yes,
so on.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So maybe because I know that also Anita is waiting for her presentation, so maybe there is some questions from the viewers for Professor Antoni Remesar about uniqueness and this presentation. Maybe someone would like to.
Javier also, maybe you have the questions or impressions, please.
So for the first presentation, it was, sorry if I didn't understood well, but it only a process involving students, or is there like a community, a participant movement from the communities that grows from them and they bring ideas to develop and to...
Yeah, I explained that this morning.
Sorry?
Yes, that is important to involve community. I don't use the term community, but in English I have to use. See, when we work from this point of view. We work with neighbors. That doesn't mean community. In Spanish, neighborhood and community is not the same. It's completely different. Okay? We work with them. We start to work from the beginning with them. We develop participatory projects, as I shown in other AEC conferences. And then we try to implement this project. Not always is possible. Then if we implement the project, can be that we develop the project with the technical units of the City Council. That possibility is always at the end, at the middle of December, when they have to justify the budget of some of the units of the City Council. They say, hey, a project for tomorrow. If not, we will lose money that could be implemented in the project. That happens sometimes. Right now, to develop some kind of project that involve, that are expensive. To build a building like that are a couple of millions of euros. The scheme is, we develop the ideas, neighbors discuss with the city council the idea of the project, how can be it, and then these ideas are a kind of guide for BIMSA, that is the municipal company that puts the tender for the architects, but under some ideas that come from the neighbors, plus the ideas of the master and PhD students, and then there is a public tender and wins who wins. That is the way to do things. We are not interested to build the projects. If we build someone, is that at the end of December, that is for tomorrow. If not, we lose the money. I don't know if I answered to your question. Yeah?
Yes, sorry, because I'm Portuguese, so the language maybe I could not understand very well your presentation, but when we talk about uniqueness, it's difficult nowadays because of globalization, and some idea is in Portugal and the other day is somewhere else. But I remember something about UNESCO World Heritage. It's like a thing that says that something is unique. We are going to many cities and countries and we go and see because they say they're unique. So what do you think about this?
Yes,
because some law says that this is unique.
Yes, I think
No?
that this is, first of all, it shows the performative value of uniqueness that is working sometimes because someone who has this position of to call it something unique encourage people to see the place because it is unique. But from the perspective of the research work, I think that it is very, very dangerous because actually in these times we are living in, it is really hard to find something that can really be for us a surprising and original, and something that we can think that it's really something that I haven't seen anything like that before, that it's one of its kind. I think that we have too many things that we see the similarity between them. And we could feel a little bit maybe that this is too much. There are too many things that is unique. And if there are so many unique things, there is nothing that could be really unique. Maybe I'm now thinking about what, because I'm asking myself this question from my work, what is unique really for me in my region, or what could be unique? And my boyfriend have chosen some very interesting examples, not from the region and not from the public space, but from the music. And probably he have chosen Hauer's music because of something. He likes music very much. And he told me that, you know, there are some moments that it's very specific and so on. And we started to discuss it and we concluded it. Actually, there are sounds, there are something that is similar to different composers, and there is nothing unique. But his first experience, his first impression was that maybe it is unique because of something. He have chosen some very specific criterion to say that this is unique. But when we were talking and give different arguments, to each other, we decide that no, this is not unique. So I hope so that I answered.
Finally, when listening to you were answering, an image came to my mind. What is the relationship between death and uniqueness?
Mm-hmm.
That means a castle in the middle of something, somewhere,
Yes.
that is a national monument, is a death part of the history.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time is unique because the Gazette or the central government of Poland said that has the category of monument, cultural, or I don't know the categories here.
Yes.
Okay, and that confers to this part of the, it's part of the history, but is death, confers life and uniqueness.
If I understand...
No, it's not necessary to answer. It's
Yes,
just to
but to think, rethinking. Okay, I will rethink in that later, but maybe only one word about this, something which I haven't said, but I think that it's interesting about uniqueness and curiosity, because I was also in Nowa Wieś. It's a small village in the region of Łódź, and Nowa Wieś in 2018 was called unique because it is the new geometric point of Poland. And of course it was for me something curious, but from this positive even point of view, that I am interested to see this place, because I want to know what it is and why they have chosen this place and why they are doing now, because we had a different place like that in Piątek, and it was very much in the inhabitants' identity and cultural heritage of Piątek, which is not a very its landscape is very commonly, but geometric point of Poland. So I came to Nowa Wieś, and we couldn't find this place. On which area, because it's private area, is this geometric point of Poland, the new geometric point of Poland? I was asking myself why I'm looking for that. It's so stupid girl, don't go there. And I met some people who are living in Nowa Wieś, and they told me that no, don't go there, go to Piątek. Or some other person said that you know, it's in private land, and actually it looks like something that has something in common with funeral, because it's a small statue called Centroid of Poland, like the center of Poland, of territory of Poland, and looks rather like something that could put on cemetery. So maybe it is curious. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. And even from the perspective of inhabitants, it looks like something curiosity. So even people and the government called it unique, they don't want to buy it.
Well, that is that of symbolism a priori a posteriori.
Yes,
okay?
It's something like that. Yeah, yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions? For Jovita or Professor Remesar? Javier.
No, Javier no, que ya me hace muchas.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's make a short
2
break.
minutes, 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay.
Thank you very much.
No,
Thank you very much.
I enjoy to do your work.
No, I enjoyed it. Yes, thank you very much.
Como la camiseta.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anita Błażejewska, she is MA student in art history at the University of Łódź. Her interests focus on the art and fashion of the 20th and 19th and 20th century. Her bachelor thesis subject was the presence of traditional Hutzul music culture in Polish art and at the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries, with particular emphasis on Hutzul instruments and dances. Now she is in the process of writing her master thesis titled The Women Painters of the Vilnius Society of Artists. And she is also interested in comic books and street art. So that she prepared the presentation Urban Values in the Digital Space, Street Art in NFT Words.
Yes, hello everyone, and welcome to my...
Anita, you have one word, and
Oh yeah.
do you remember our discussion?
Yeah, I
Okay,
forgot
so
about that. Yes.
because I'm sure that there are words.
Yes, they are words.
Yeah.
My mistake. So the topic today is urban values in the digital space, street art in NFT words. And first of all, we have to say a few words about street art itself. It's an umbrella term for use embracing plenty of creative actions. Yes, okay. Not only in public space, so street per se, but also in museums and in the digital space. Street art expansion of the internet didn't stop at Web 2.0, and as Web 2.0 I mean user-generated websites, so content in a virtual community. But it took over Web 3.0 and its blockchain technology with NFTs, so non-fungible tokens, as a medium. And by blockchain, I mean a cryptocurrency wallet. Such new addition changed how street art is perceived, but most importantly, owned and or funded. To discuss street art NFTs, we must first talk about a few urban values, aesthetic, artistic and social, that will let us understand the nature of the graffiti of the 1970s and street art that emerged in the 1980s. Graffiti brought to a wider audience aesthetic values above all. Graffiti artists, mostly not artistically educated and unknown, most often by their own will, had striven to generate new ways of communicating with the world through characteristic forms and colors. Later, they started to become masters in the profession or craft, however we call it. However, it was still mostly vandalism, and the artists started to meet certain artistic criteria. The 1980s changed a view of street art, of street artistry, we may say, by the amplification of previously established values and the addition of new ones. Urban values associated with this period are illegality, so freedom, non-commercial aspects, contextuality, so the nature of the place, dialogue abilities, and spontaneity, which we strongly connect to involvement in the city, neighborhood, or community's affairs. It is important to also mention the ephemeral nature of the art. I would also like to mention briefly why we now have such a problem with murals being a part of street art. The reason for this is the 2008 exhibition at Tate Modern called Street Art. The curators collected works of graffiti artists, street artists, and muralists, putting them all under the umbrella term that was also the name of said exhibition. Moving to the most recent times, modern street art often incorporates additional arts and technologies. It's not a new idea that street art can exist primarily in a digital space. There are already endless visual archives of street-based artworks across different platforms. We do realize, though, lots of shortcomings as regards image manipulation and lack of commentary, or sometimes even a vague description of a work of art. Development of Web 3.0 was supposed to give most people, most of all, one urban value, an illusion of preserving street art. It was supposed to be anti-ephemeral. Loads of NFT platforms, or so-called NFT auction houses, put in the bio or mission tab a piece of information that their work extends the life of the work of art or even forever immortalizes it. Is it time-proof, though? Does it capture and collect artistic manifestations and give them unicity and eternity? Does it give the art freedom, hence being an extension of street art values? Because it's torn out of the censorship and has a life beyond the wall. R.J. Rushmore, curator, street art connoisseur and editor-in-chief of a street art blog Vandalog, states that NFT does not allow preservation, and I agree with him. He said, there are people who said street art NFTs are going to allow preservation in a way that was never before possible. I feel that's a little overstated. I also feel that preservation is not always the correct move. Further, photographs already did that, preserve. You could still put a photo on IPFS without attaching it to an NFT if preservation was all you cared about. Another urban value of street art NFTs is accessibility in combination with appreciation/admiration as statements that in a way stand both with and against contextuality. Accessibility is described as a booster for art awareness. NFTs bring the physical street to the digital world. It helps people accustomed to this environment familiarize themselves with street art that can be admired physically and digitally. It's supposed to support a new form of cultural tourism, domestic and international. Street art NFT website CEOs still claim that the digital technologies can and should, above all, improve people's lives in the physical world. At the same time, NFTs are an important corner of the emerging metaverse. Jita Yoshi, independent curator and host of the Curator's Salon podcast, states that some NFT owners might choose to decorate the metaverse. Visitors may then encounter the art the same way people do on city streets, by accident or by surprise. The most important urban, or not really urban, however you look at it, value is of course money, both in the form of an income for the artist, so monetization, and privatization or ownership. The world of institutions and financial activities strikes again. One thing that is funny, but really not funny, is the way that NFT artists and curators describe this value. They use pompous words like democratization, inclusiveness, egalitarianism, sorry for that, to bring more to the table. What they mean, though, is that work will be made and purchased with or without the support of the critics. Simultaneously, they still declare that NFT practice will help to sustain a gallery or street practice. They also make the street artists believe that they can have one's cake and eat it too. NFTs are to support their practices while remaining true to their voice and without losing street credibility. Blockchain activity should then ensure an increase in international international audience and fair compensation for the artwork. It is true, however, that artists have more control and transparency in the sale of a piece than in traditional auction house setting. On the buyer's side, new value emerges. uniqueness. NFT technology allows artists to permanently authenticate their piece regardless of copies. It's indisputable confirmation of the ownership. This is a good way of collecting royalties from resales of the work too. Designing digital NFTs to be collectible changes also the view on physical assets. Depending on the artist, it is possible to buy 1. Only the digital NFT as an independent physical piece, or 2. The digital NFT with a certificate of mural or street art ownership. Unfortunately, sometimes artists go so far as to take such steps as deliberate destruction of the piece to make it even more unique and available only as NFTs. And because it is a workshop, I would like to finish this short talk, I hope, with an open question. So, does this street art NFTs just take from the city or actually develop it in a new way and add to it another dimension? Also, I asked Professor Remesar a few questions, mostly hypothetical, a little bit dystopian, I must say, and I hope Professor Remesar was not offended by them. Yeah. Thank you very much.
En WIC. Vale. Bueno, well, you have several questions.
Yes.
I cannot answer many of them. First, because I don't know many things about that, and second, because I'm not interested at all in this topic. That for me will be not the future. That is part of this schizophrenic world where we live, and that many years ago, Guattari wrote about that in the 70s. We started the schizophrenia era. Okay.
May I add something? Yeah, so I don't think it's schizophrenia at all. And also, if we talk about dual personalities, we also have to say about DID, so dissociative identity disorder. But to be honest, because NFTs can be experienced both immersive and non-immersive, so also by VR, I just have to add that VR is now used to help people with schizophrenia, so maybe not really.
Well, doctors are qualified to help people with schizophrenia, but I was not talking about use, if about this topic.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, respect to your work, the first thing that you will need if you want to continue this work is to review all the reference to what street art is.
Yeah.
Because street art are many different things that you can, to which you can add urban arts. Then, what are you talking about when talking about street art? Okay, that is the first thing. Can metaverse ever replace the actual world? I hope no. And I don't want to have an avatar.
Yeah.
Why? Okay, to give money to some of the controllers of this parallel world. And the other is, let's remember that dual personality, I think including virtual personality, is a mental illness, that is schizophrenia. take care. Or we have to take care if we want to enter in this world. Will the support of digital artists for cultural tourism improve people's lives in the physical world? I am interested in the real world. That is the first. And in a city like Barcelona or in a city like Lisbon and in other many cities, what we see is that we need less tourists. Okay, because the industrial tourism is destroying, in part, is destroying the structure of the touristic cities. Then, I don't believe that cultural tourism improve the real, the material, improves the people's lives. At least doesn't improve the residents in a in a touristic city people's life. Maybe it improves the life of the experience of life of the tourist. I don't know. Okay. Then this tourism segregates completely. Okay. In Barcelona, you have areas where, in Rome, I think it's the same. In Naples, no, not so much. But you have areas where the residents don't go because are the areas for the tourist. And if you have to go, you pass quickly, not to enter in the mass of the tourists. You cannot find there anything you need for your life, but just bibelots for the tourists. Prices are higher than in other areas of the city. And these parts of the city are being erased of the mental map of the residents. Then if so happens in the real world, what could happen in this metaverse world, okay? Then can we predict that will happen to all the murals when the world decides that we don't need their physical version anymore? Nothing. We will return to public art. Will happen nothing. That, I mean, there is a mood right now for the murals, the graffiti, and so on, okay? Because different reasons and different policies. In 10 years, next 10 years, maybe they disappear and nothing happened. In the city, for the artist, is not my problem. That is your scope. Why the metaverse is interesting? Because I can reproduce my mural, split it in small parts, okay? And then sell these parts of the mural in the metaverse. But in the city will happen nothing. Maybe it will be more beautiful than with the murals. I don't say that for Łódź, that is different. But for other cities, many of the murals, if they are not there, nothing happens. And I think that were all your questions.
Yes?
Yes?
They were.
That's all.
Yeah, okay. Yes. It's just why I ask those questions. It's because, as we know, as I said before, NFTs can be experienced both immersive and non-immersive, and AI avatars are digital characters, and they are powered by artificial intelligence, and so they can with time experience too and feel too and maybe see too. So how they are gonna, maybe not us, not people, real people, but our avatars, how they are gonna see murals in the metaverse. Are they gonna experience that the same as we are, or in the binary code, or however different? This is interesting for me. I don't have a technical background though. I have an art historian background, and from this point of view, I just really think, as Professor Remesar said, it's maybe all about money and the corporations, but have those money to have even more. Yeah, so that's maybe for me something to end this. Thank you.
Wait. Maybe we have some questions.
Yes.
No, not for
Uh-huh.
us. Yeah.
Yes. It's not easy to be a scientist, keen on murals, on street art.
Yeah.
Okay, first, thank you very much for the interesting lecture. I think it is an interesting case. But I would like to maybe comment and maybe talk to you and maybe not ask questions because they were already asked. Very good questions. And I can answer from the perspective of a philosopher. I don't know because I don't know the answers for all those questions. I'm really puzzled why my research team wants to research on NFTs. They are very curious, and I'm not, rather not. I don't know why this can be interesting. I think this is the case of the point of view, as Professor Remesar said. Maybe this is a question of a philosophical attitude. It's very metaphysical, in fact, issue. I can tell you very honest. In my opinion, we are witnessing the split in societies everywhere. Some people will follow avatharization, will follow the metaverse, will follow the curiosity of what's in this world. Some people will reject, and they already rejected, and will stay with their traditional lives. And for me, if I would answer some of those questions for this traditional physical urban life, NFTs are not necessary. They're useless.
Yes.
But the only meaning lies in metaverse, and this is a huge meaning, I think. But someone must be really interested in entering this world. And well, a friend of mine, Professor Ostrovitsky, who has got also philosophical avatar, CDMO, he publishes under this pseudonym, wrote many articles and books on avatarization. And he claims that he takes for granted the possibility to live in two worlds. It's an added value for him. But for me, it's not an added value, but this is my choice. But I fully understand that someone wants to choose another layer of reality, and there are many interesting, really, issues there. I agree that it's very interesting how your avatar will experience art. It's very interesting. I cannot imagine that. I tried metaverse. I feel a little bit skeptical. I don't feel well myself in this world. But some of my colleagues are enthusiastic, and what they want to research also on NFTs. They claim this is one of the most important topics and issues now in art and also in the philosophy of art. So I think it's a choice, between the lifestyle, the way of living. So this is very, very tough question. But they should. I think NFTs are a very important topic in the context of avatarization and living in metaverse, different versions of metaverse. But maybe one thing, we can think probably about NFT not only as application for metaverse, but we can make an experiment. If NFTs will give us something in a physical world, maybe we can treat them as a social concept. For example, if we apply them offline, the idea of NFT offline, and because it's a great idea of sharing and participating in art. we can imagine if that can change anything. For example, if everyone will be an owner, like, you know, we have the part of each of these murals in Łódź. Would it change something? I don't know. Maybe yes, because NFTs, you know, the idea is that, as you already described it, is that someone owns a part or can buy a part. Of course, someone can buy more experience. But we can imagine if it could change anything, if we could apply this idea to offline work. I don't know, maybe yes.
But it's not really just buying a piece of something or a part of something. It's also like when we were kids and we had all those cards with football players or something like that. And I had a card with Lewandowski, let's say, and someone else's had it too. They are not the same cards in NFT worlds because they have different tokens, different code that makes them unique. So I think that's how it looked like in a real world, actually, like cards with football players.
Okay, so for us it's a question to choose between if I want a real, you know, rough mural which can be destroyed,
yeah,
or if I want something else.
Yes.
So I want to anticipate something.
Actually, Damien Hirst did something like that with his art. He either, well, the participants either had to choose to hold to NFT or to get the piece itself at their home, at their doorstep, and just have it forever. And they then they minted this NFT. So yeah.
Yes, so for me it's a very, you know, my point of view, maybe because I'm biased because I'm a philosopher, it's a kind of philosophical choice. If you want to be, you know, live a minimalist way of life and to keep with your reality, or if you want to anticipate something more, you know, to create another even, you know, universe, yes, yeah. Thanks to art. It's how does your idea of art works, yes? If you want to create more or stay with less. Yeah. Personally, I prefer this rough street art, which is very traditional, but I fully understand that someone can be tempted by entering this metaverse world. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, please ask questions.
Good afternoon. Sorry if I have problem with my English is not very good. I have a lot of problems speaking in English. Well, we come from Puebla in Mexico, and we work with master students in a thesis about graffiti and urban art. And this guy called Gustavo, he write an article for a journal in that year. When we talked with him, at the beginning, he was very clear. No, I'm Gustavo, but my name as a urban artist or graffitero or graffiti artist is Cuerpo. My name is like graffitero, no tengo cuerpo, but here as like a student in a master is Gustavo Valencia. It was very good for us that it was, I don't know if it's a kind of a type of avatar for him, but he was very specific in that situation, and when we meet another urban artist and graffiteros, it was the same, it was a similar situation. No? This is our work, like graffiteros, or like urban artists, this is our tags, these are our spots, you can see our tags or our names, like graffiti artists, and we are Gustavo, I'm graphic designer, another guy says, another voice said, I'm Joel, and my nickname or my tag is Warrior. And in some of the interviews, it was very clear that they have an alias, a nickname, or an avatar, and it was a difference. So when we were talking with him, with another process in artistic interventions in Puebla, it was a similar situation because it was a name for the collective, no, for the associations who work with the government, with the local government, and receive a considerable amount of money And also it was a situation like, how do I say, process of gentrification and urban regeneration in the way like governments understand. It was, they are creating an alternative situation. No? The problems stay, the problems go out from the center of the city, but they construct another reality, a reality according to the economic interests of the government, of the financial supporters, businessmen, and who are the same for many years and for many generations. So it's also, we also must recognize that even activists, some activists which work with alternative situations in artistic forms, in urban regeneration, really act like avatars. I think really they are really like avatars, no? Because they present an ideal situation, but that it has benefits only for the promotion, for the businessmen, for the government that are approving that situation. So I don't know if you understand me. To create an avatar or to create an ideal world, it's not only in virtual world, also in the real world, you can create that alternate situation and that convenience for some groups. So that's interesting to listen because it's a new term, but well, it's not necessary to build an avatar in the virtual world. An avatar can be built in the real world, and it can work for a specific interest. No, here, for example, in Puebla, some activists that speak about some kind of some terms in architecture, in public space, in urban regeneration, they act like avatars. No, they have a specific interest. They have a discourse. They present a discourse, and well, it's an interest specific for an economic situation. So it's not necessarily the virtual world for construct an avatar. We were talking about. I had one question more. I had one more, but I don't remember. I forget it. I can forget it. That's it. If I remember, I could later.
Thank you.
I would like to say that this article, we have statistics, this is the most popular article. Yes, right. So. And I remember the work of describing photos. So it was, in fact, it was separated when he was scientist, it was his name, surname, and as an artist, different. Two different words. Yes, I remember that. Okay, do you have questions or impressions? So you can see.
Yeah. Thank you.
See? Thank you. Hey, wait.
I'm not sure if it's going to be a question, but just some type of comment. That will we actually know that we are looking at NFT and not at street art? Is it like is that the thing that we should focus about? Because you've mentioned that, and it cannot be not mentioned talking about NFT, that it's about monetization. So I'm just thinking, how is it different from just digital art? Because when you presented us with some of the examples, we cannot actually say if it's street art, just a photo taken on a street. Is it a screenshot of a digital art, or is it an NFT? And I'm just thinking, I don't know if you will be liking to continue with this thought that just, is it not going to run out a little bit, this topic of NFT? Because it became quite popular among many people that usually don't even comment on art. But will it survive? Is it like very impactful, important? And just to narrow it down to your presentation, like from a point of view of this art historian as I am, what are we looking at actually? You know, if you'd like to comment.
Yes, okay. So the first thing is that most NFTs are street arts, like murals or anything else, but animated. They are emerging from the walls. They are, I don't know, like we've seen on the presentation, those two owls, this mural with two owls and with lyrics of the Doors song, and actually the lyrics are just flowing by as an NFT. And how we're gonna know that it's not digital art but NFT? We will see it on an NFT website. We will see it as a already bought NFT, or we can place a bid on it. And first, and the most important thing I think it's that even if we see it on an NFT on an NFT website, it's actually still a digital art, because only if we buy it, it's gonna be an NFT, because we have the ownership to it. And NFTs, they can be reproduced in many copies, but only you have your NFT. Only you have this tokenized, this unique, with the code that is only made for you. So that's how we're gonna know. If you buy it, then it's gonna be an NFT. And to your second question, I think if it's gonna be, I don't know if it's gonna last. I don't know, really. I think now, yes, for sure, because it's important mostly for the people who really want to spend their money and earn some more, because it's a Bitcoin technology. So we have Ethereum, we have Dogecoin and all of that. So now, yes, maybe then it will change into something else. Maybe it's not going to be even named as NFT or something else. It's gonna change. I think it's gonna change, but we don't really know how. I don't really know the details of how this world works. I'm just, just looking at some pretty pictures, really. Yeah, and to answer further your question, does it have different value than the art that we see on the street? Probably yes, because it has different values than the ones that we see on the street. It has different values because, as I said, there was some parts of, I don't know, illegality, vandalism, and all of that, or the history that goes into the street art that we can see on the street. And with NFTs, we don't have that. We have a carte blanche. We have just a new history to be written, really. Yeah.
A minute. Okay. NFTs are products for a different speculative market. And what is the difference between NFTs and other images we can find in internet? Is the certification of somebody who, with no control, then is a market,
Actually, we do have a control, because if we think about NFTs, we have even more data about who is buying, who is selling. And
but that doesn't mean control. Doesn't mean another thing. That is the chain.
Oh yeah. In that case, yes.
Of the
yes.
product.
Yeah. Okay, I understand now.
But I put, I don't know how to do it, but I put one image and I sell that in this market, okay? And who controls that I put the image? For you, that is liberty, because then there is no curator to do strange things.
Actually, now there are curators, Christie's even.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
We should remember about Christie's or Sotheby's. They know what they are doing.
Yeah. They are selling the copies of their tokens to other people, and yeah.
But for me, the speculation is another kind of who are dealing with all that. The big bosses of the big communications, information, satellite, and so on companies.
Most importantly, I think we shouldn't ask who is dealing with NFTs, but who is dealing with cryptocurrencies.
But that is the first step of the development of this market. We'll see what happens in the next years.
Yeah.
So yes, I think it's very important. We cannot pass this problem of control, because when I ask about my information, my data collected in regard to NFTs, my colleague told me, no worries, it's blockchain. And I told them, okay, the same is being applied now in the European Union with your e-wallet. But it's blockchain, okay, it's safe. But after that, police stops me on the motorway. They know everything. So who gave them this information? Yes, so this is blockchain, but someone has got the keys. And this is not a fair situation. That's one thing. And I thought also about one thing, that NFTs, it looks like it, okay, but if we consider them from economical, social point of view, this is very, I would say, aggressive way of doing capitalism.
Yes,
right?
yes.
You don't need to have ownership in a wide mural somewhere. It's for everyone, and here it's some way closed, inexplicably. So maybe we should subvert NFTs and, for example, invent NFT like non-fundable token. You cannot take money for this. You can only be responsible, for example, for artwork. That's maybe the idea, to invert the meaning, because it really, this is the thing that worries me very much, that it's just a way of doing money in some aspect. Of course, it gives you experiences, but it's very hierarchical structure of obtaining this experience. You have to pay, or you have to be in a net. You cannot just walk by and experience it. But I know, just last sentence. I know that it's also maybe necessary to work with NFTs from another reason. I found it was very a big discovery for me years ago, that many street art, many murals, but also many real architectonic sites are duplicated in virtual worlds, but they are somehow changed. Like yet in Second Life, which was very primitive, there was a copy of Kowloon City, but it was done by Americans, and streets were very, very vast. Whereas in the real Kowloon City, they were very narrow. So this is different Kowloon City, and there is added value in this. It's changed, it's transformed. So what is the ownership for these visuals, for everything? But there is copied also a graffiti from the real Kowloon, but it's changed. So maybe NFTs can, resolve such situation, to make people more involved in the process of reconfiguring art. Because we can think about not only just duplicating mural, but it really is, as you said, it's really different than the real one. So maybe we need some kind of mediation. But today's idea of NFTs looks like a very aggressive capitalism.
It is, I agree. Also, I hate the marketing of NFTs. They are trying to become some new feminist, I don't know, a place where feminists can talk about the experiences. They're trying to become a new website where people can learn in a new way, and everything is so new and so unique. And I hate it, really. Yeah, because it doesn't add value at all. It doesn't. Yeah.
Okay, do you remember the question?
Yeah, I remember that I was remembering some content that my university students showed me about architecture, urban design, are TikTokers and YouTubers, and most of them are avatars because they only say the specific interest for business, for government, and it's a short definition. They use short definition, they don't have any enough information. It's an avatar, it's a representation of an interest, it's a speculation. It's a speculation like you said. And they exist in the real world, only that they use virtual media.
Okay. Any questions or impressions? Or enough?
I think it's enough.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor Remesar.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
As usual. Thank you very much for impressive talks.